Welcome back to Get Down to Business, the show all about small business jobs and entrepreneurship. You can always go to my website, shalomklein.com. That's where you can download the past 8+ years of shows, and plus download and subscribe on your favorite podcast app. Share it with a fellow entrepreneur. They and you will not regret it. I'm thrilled to be joined by Jonathan Rosenfeld from Rosenfeld Injury Lawyers. And Jonathan is an attorney in Chicago, concentrating in cases involving serious injury and wrongful death. Mr. Rosenfeld has founded the firm and has grown the business quite a bit. So we're going to talk certainly about what he does, but also that concept of sort of being successful in business and developing your own firm. So Jonathan, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to be here.
So what was that moment when you discovered you're not just a lawyer, but you are an entrepreneur?
Very early on, I realized very, very early that the people who made money, frankly, were the people who were bringing in cases. You can go to law school and get all A's and you can do extremely well, but the bottom line is if you're not bringing in business, you will ultimately be at someone's beck and call, and you don't really have much control over your life. So early on, I realized that. I'm very grateful. I didn't learn a whole lot in law school, but I did learn that you got to hustle and get business early on.
Absolutely, so important. And one of the things that I found fascinating as soon as you and I were connected was you're very passionate, as I am, in relationships, true business relationships. You're not just looking to grow your firm, which thankfully you have done quite successfully. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But it sounds like you really enjoy working with people that you actually enjoy working with. So what is it that you look for when building business relationships, and what's been successful for you?
Probably, without a doubt, people who are just committed to the business, committed to their own success. And if someone's committed, we can do a lot together. If someone is extremely bright and they're not motivated, they're not committed, they're not genuinely invested, I find that it's just not really going to be a good fit for me to work with them. So the people that I work with business-wise, I've been working with them for years and years. And ultimately, it's very reassuring to me that I don't really have to check in on them. They don't, hopefully have to check in on me. But I know that they're out there doing their thing, and hopefully they know that I'm on the other end doing my thing, and we're both, working towards a mutual goal.
I'm chatting with Jonathan Rosenfeld from Rosenfeld Injury Lawyers. Successful entrepreneur. Firm has grown quite a bit pretty consistently, even in an era of some additional competition and headwinds from the COVID-19 pandemic. And Jonathan, I know you are an avid networker. You've just been talking about that power of relationships. It's interesting when you're talking about networking, you come across, frankly, a lot of lawyers, frankly, a lot of personal injury lawyers. Jonathan, how do you stand apart from your competition?
Probably the biggest thing that I do differently than other attorneys, and I think I realized this again a long time ago, it wasn't necessarily, I didn't set out to do it, was that, I just basically try to be as accessible to people as possible. I think the days of hiring a stodgy attorney to work on your case have really come and gone. And I think when people see a real person, who's genuinely invested, like it or leave, take it or leave it, they have some personality behind that. They're very appreciative. Frankly, I try to be, like I said, I try to be accessible. I give people my cell phone. If someone emails me, I get back to them usually within an hour, certainly within the day. And I think that goes a long way towards building not just satisfied clients, but really building long-term relationships.
And Jonathan, of course, you are a successful lawyer. We'll talk in a moment about what you actually do. But as I have this conversation, I'm thinking a lot of it in the frame of what advice and what homework assignments can we give to fellow entrepreneurs that are tuning in, either in Chicago or beyond. So what advice would you have for a business owner that's tuning in that might be in their business how did you go from just running a firm to actually growing and expanding? Are there any sort of secret sauce? I know you're big into marketing, big into networking. What would you like to see everybody tuning in, sort of put into practice in the week ahead?
I think you need to compartmentalize things to a certain degree and really put aside some time in your day or your week and really devote that to either networking, towards growing a website, developing content, whatever it is. Ultimately, I think you will find that that will be the most impactful time of your week or day. And ultimately, looking back on things, the time that I spend working on those tasks is far more valuable, frankly, than practicing law. And I think people really need to recognize that, early on. So, put aside the time, do it, and also realize that, nothing happens overnight. You got to put the time in. It's a long haul process. If you expect immediate results, you're probably going to be sorely disappointed.
Again, I'm chatting with Jonathan Rosenfeld, Rosenfeld Injury Lawyers, an attorney in Chicago, Illinois, concentrating in cases involving serious injury and wrongful death. Jonathan, for a listener tuning in, they'd hear your story and realize that you are a workaholic, and it sounds like you work really, really hard and are committed to all the relationships with clients and, of course, your networking partners. But Jonathan, I know you talk frequently about having balance in your life. And your personal life is very important to you. How do you balance those two?
It's tough. I am very, I grew up swimming competitively. And, when swimming, one of the things it teaches you a lot of different things, but one of the things it teaches you is, hey, you can't miss practice. You got to go show up no matter what. And I think that sort of taught me early on, hey, you got to show up, you do your things that you want to do. And put that time into, carve that time out of your day in order for you to be happy, successful, and it really sort of balancing things out. So, pretty much every morning, I will steadfast, I will always, do some kind of workout, for a couple hours or whatever, and that time is not negotiable. And, everyone's got a different way of doing things, but that's something that, works for me. And it really settles me for the day. So I do things like that. I'm probably as guilty as anyone of being a workaholic and probably going a little bit overboard. But my wife nudges me, and I try to get back on track. And when I am with her and with my kids, I do try to put my phone aside for at least a few minutes. So nothing's perfect, but that's the best I can do.
Well, that's good advice right there. That it is possible to grow your business, to not just sustain your business, but grow your business, but also maintain a very healthy physical exercise regime, as well as of course maintain healthy personal relationships as well. So, Jonathan, I don't want to get too deep in the weeds in terms of personal injury, but what is it that you do at your firm? And I asked this question a little bit differently earlier, but again, what makes you better than some of the other firms that are out there? Why would somebody come to you? What is it that you and your team do?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is, obviously the one-on-one attention is really first and foremost. I know a lot of firms, everyone's just a file number, a blank slate, but what we do is we really try to give people individualized attention. And the way we do that is we put a priority on that, but also we're intentionally selective with the cases that we take. We don't take on, thousands and thousands of cases and just put them in a file cabinet and just, wait for them to get resolved. When we take on a case, we invest quite a bit of time and money into that case, so we have maximum resources available to really maximize the outcome of the case. Other firms, what they tend to do is they tend to, take in whatever comes in through the door and hope things settle where they may be. But we really try to devote maximum time and attention to each case.
Well, that's great. And I know you invest in, as we said earlier, the relationships that you have professionally, not just in Chicago, but really around the country. That's why you've stood out in personal injury, again, wrongful death. And certainly everybody, when we talk about homework assignments and action items, getting in touch with Jonathan Rosenfeld from Rosenfeld Injury Lawyers is certainly at the top of that list. Jonathan, we've learned a lot in our conversation together. How can our listeners get in touch with you if they want to network and learn more about your firm's services?
look me up, rosenfeldinjurylawyers.com. Hit the website, look me up on YouTube, Rosenfeld Injury Lawyers, or you can even check out the Personal Injury Podcast, very original title. We're on all the different platforms, but feel free to reach out, and I look forward to talking to you.
Absolutely. Good, great content online. Definitely encourage all of our listeners to subscribe to the podcast and get on the website. But we've got to squeeze in a quick break for some headlines, commercials. We'll be back after this quick break here on the show all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. Don't touch that dial.